Okay, welcome. My name is Colonel Denny Peeples. I'm a senior aerospace science instructor at Air Force Junior ROTC in Prescott, Arizona. One of my parts of my curriculum is I like to teach my cadets about how to write a proper resume for after high school experience or for job or for college interviewing. I have been a Air Force Academy recruiter, basically, called an ALO, for the past 10 years. And I've seen a lot of good and a lot of not so good resumes. So I want to pass this on to everybody on the internet, as well as all my cadets, so that they can have a very good resume when they start to apply for jobs in colleges. My resume building concept comes straight out of the Air Force Junior ROTC Leadership Education 2 book, when it talks about a basic checklist for speaking, public speaking, as well as writing. And of course, I'm refining it for this talk down to resume building, where for any resume that you're actually trying to accomplish, you need to find out what purpose you're doing this for. Are you getting a job? You're applying to a college? Are you applying to a state college? You're applying to an Ivy League college? Are you applying to a community college? You're applying for a job at Walmart? You're applying for a job at a tattoo parlor? You're applying for a job at a Target? That's your audience. You need to research and come up with the ideas of what they want to hear and think is a qualified applicant. And so that's what you're trying to convey through the resume, is what is your best parts to get this job or get this scholarship or get this admittance to college. You're going to organize, draft, and edit it. And I will show you good organization, and I will show you not so good organization. Some of these applicants to the Air Force Academy for the past 10 years, they came from very, very, very humble situations. A lot of them up on the Navajo Reservation here in Arizona. And honestly, some of them don't have electricity. But they came into my interview with me with a perfect resume, I thought, and it was amazing. So obviously, they had feedback, and they had edited it and drafted it and gone to other people. If you're applying to a arts college, you probably want to go to someone who has already been accepted to that arts college and say, hey, here's my resume. Does it look good? If you're applying to a tattoo parlor for a job, then they probably don't care that much about some qualifications as someone would if you're applying to a garden shop or trying to sell flowers. You have different qualifications for different places. Same thing with colleges. If you're applying to an engineering college, they're looking for you to have an engineering background, for you to emphasize that on your resume. Certainly if you're applying to the academies or some of the top tier schools, military academies for instance, they're looking for academics, leadership, and athleticism. Some of the top tier schools, Caltech I know for instance, they don't care that much about athletics. They care about academics only. So those are the type of researching and the drafting, editing, big picture that you need to accomplish in your resume. Okay, what I've done here is, and again, this is sort of boilerplate. I'm just giving you the big picture real quick so that you can see exactly what is to be expected on a resume. Again, this works for high school students, works for middle school students, as well as adults. Some of the very, very basic concepts is you do not want to get too detailed. You want to cover the subject, and you want to have your best foot forward, but you do not want to say that I won the math award in 7th grade, yay. Well, that doesn't have anything to do with you getting a job at Target, okay? They're talking about punctuality, whether or not you're reliable, have you had any work experience. You don't want to get too detailed. So in general, I would say a resume needs to be 1 page, period. That's it. I don't care how fantastic you are. 1 page, as well as you think about the font. Generally 12 is accepted, but for old people like me, 14 font is perfectly acceptable. Okay, so general, first thing you do for your resume is you put your name up at the top in very bold letters. My name is Denny A. Peeples. Oh, by the way, unless you're applying for an art school, Juilliard, or someone in someplace in LA, you're not going to get fancy with this. This is basic stuff, okay? We're talking Times New Roman or Arial font versus the font size that I talked about. You're not being artistic. You're trying to convey your information real quickly, real succinctly. I'm going to go through some of these resumes that I've had over the 10 years, and you'll see the difference. So you put your name up at the top, then the next thing you do is your contact information. And in general, what I've seen work pretty well is maybe they put a line here, something like that, and then over here on the left part for the contact information, you can put your address, you know, 2 lines, Prescott, Arizona. And then over here on the right side, you put your electronic or your, your phone number and an email. And oh, by the way, I know your generation doesn't email as much as my generation. You have to have an email. If you don't have an email right now, go out and get one on Gmail, is what I suggest, or somewhere. But you must have an email. And oh, by the way, your email needs to be professional. I can't tell you a quarter of the time when I am getting applications for Air Force Academy, the Gmail will be sexylady69@yahoo.com. And believe it or not, that is not exactly what the Air Force Academy is looking for, okay? So get over your middle school or immature high school desires and have a professional email, such as your name, such as something that looks professional. So mine, of course, is DennyAPeoples@gmail.com. Okay, so that's right up front. So there's no question who this email is for, who this resume is for. And for me as a boss, or me as a white-haired old man trying to hire you or get you in our college, there's no question about how I'm actually supposed to get in touch with you. Just a second, let me move that over there. Okay, so we have our heading. Then over here, I've actually put in some suggested headings. If you're having one piece of paper to describe your whole life, you can pick out your headings, your organizational headings that you're going to have 1, 2, 3 right here. Let's go with the assumption right now that this resume is for college. Okay, we can change it up for your jobs, but let's go for college. What is the first thing if you're applying to college against, well, the Air Force Academy is about 17 to 1, 15 or 17 students apply and 1 gets in. What's the most top important thing for anyone applying to college? Academics. That's exactly right. So I'm telling you, you have this thing, and then the next thing you do is you put in academics. Can you tell I can't spell? Academics, and I underline that. That's pretty good because that's important. And so that's one of your headings. After this, to apply to a military academy, remember I told you they give you points for academics, leadership, athleticism. So again, for military academy, which I'm real familiar with, you go academics, and you might want to put athletics here, and then leadership down here. Each military academy emphasizes the different weights. Air Force tend to go a little more heavy on academics. West Point, I know for sure, really emphasizes leadership. So I'd put that at the top. And then depending on how much individual sub-bullets you have here, you may have a section for the bottom. I know for the military academies, you do have letters of recommendations. Well, those are independent from this resume. But if you're applying for a job, and your job says, hey, make sure you give me 3 recommendations, I've had students down here on the bottom put personal references. So you put your preacher or your former boss or somebody else. Your personal references can be on the bottom. But this is the big picture for the resume for an application to the military academy. Yes, sir?
So should it be 1 page total? So then
1 page total. 1 page, 12 to 14 size font. Keep it simple. Okay, and I'll show you some students that did not do that. Yes, sir?
For the personal references, would you put like their contact information?
Yes, and I'll show you that. Just hold that question, Andrew. That's exactly the question. All right, so now academics. I want to go to college. What's the first thing you should stick up there?
Your GPA?
GPA. Yes. I mean, if I'm in college, you got a minimum GPA to get in my college. First thing, GPA. This is kind of one of the hardest things for you as high school students to realize is a resume. You need to brag about yourself. Okay. Humility is not a big thing in a resume. Humility is a huge thing in an interview, which I will have another whole section on interviews in the future. Oh, by the way, Grant, since you're my commander, if I start talking about interviews, say, Colonel, this is about resume, because I do get distracted between the two, okay? Sure. I want to keep this on the resume road here. All right, so yes, academics, first thing out is GPA. Where do you get it from? Do you make it up when you sit there and play with it at night at 11 o'clock? Where do you get it from?
Registrar.
Yeah, I mean, there's an official GPA for all you guys right on the computer in the sky for each school, and it better match what is here. What happens if it doesn't match it?
They think you're a liar.
They think that there may be a problem. One mistake, and you go, oh, it's a mistake. It's a 3.8 here, and you know, this piece of paper I have as an applicant in college says 3.6. Okay, maybe you got it wrong, but then if there's multiple errors on here, you're a liar, and you got to be kidding me. You're gone. I mean, they don't even get that far. Okay, so these have to be perfect. This has to be exactly right, because remember, you're editing, and you're getting feedback, and you're organizing, you're drafting and redrafting. It has to be perfect. Okay. Question is, do you want weighted GPA or non-weighted GPA?
Probably weighted.
No, they don't care.
It depends. It doesn't matter. I mean, each college will say that. Okay. We deal with unweighted or weighted, and again, the GPA sort of gets you in the door nationally. Because how do you compare Prescott High School to Miami High School, to New York Public School 107? You can't really compare those, you know, the rigor of those schools. You're getting the GPA to get in the door, but when it comes down to ACT and college testing, that's how you compare everybody nationally. So GPA first. Next thing, right off the bat, I would say ACT or SAT, whatever you're taking. In general, I think still to this day, they're exactly equal. It just depends on whichever one you do the best. I recommend for my cadets that as juniors, January, February, their junior year, you start taking these. And you take both of them, meaning pay the money and take both the ACT and SAT January, February, your junior year, and whichever one you do the best on, you keep taking. So the average applicant for the Air Force Academy takes about 4 times by December 1st, your senior year. So whatever your score is here, boom, you put it on here. Okay, let's say you have a 28. And that's it. That's what you do. You also want to, depending on where you are applying, break it down into each subcategory. If you're applying to an engineering school, they really probably care how you do on your math portion, right? I went to Georgia Tech in Atlanta, and I remember I took AP English, and I didn't make a 5. I made a 4. And I go, oh my gosh, this is horrible. It's terrible. I went to Georgia Tech. They didn't care that much about English, to be perfectly honest, because it's a hardcore engineering school, and even with a 4 on AP, I didn't have to take any more English. I was done. So I'm saying it just depends on what you're doing. You can tailor this. Okay, GPA, ACT, what else? What other kind of academic things?
Maybe AP or honors courses. Take
exactly. Your rigor of courses, which shows you how great your GPA is. So you would talk about your AP or honors courses, whatever you've taken. You would put on there your AP test scores. Okay. What if you don't have a good score? What if you took AP biology your sophomore year and made a 2 on the AP test? Would you put that on there?
No.
I would not, because this is supposed to build you up. You're bragging. But when we get to the resume, the interview skills, which I will talk about in the future, you will have to address that. And I'll tell you how to address that as an adult. Okay, so here we go. AP, honors, and then maybe any awards you've gotten. If you're NHS, in this school here, if your GPA is above 3.8, you need to be in the NHS, right? National Honor Society. So you put any kind of honors you've had down there. But I'm telling you, these are the big 3. You're right there. And I'll go straight through some of these resumes, and you'll see that the kids didn't even put that stuff. So it made me, well, why didn't you put your GPA down here? Oh, well, I'm not really sure how it is. Okay, is that kid sharp or not? I mean, you got to be kidding me. If he's applying to the Air Force Academy for a $400,000 scholarship, they need those GPA. All right, athletics, a similar thing. You need to apply to a military academy. I think the number was 87% of all students who get accepted to the Air Force Academy, 87% have a varsity letter. So what should be the first thing under athletics?
How many years you were in varsity?
There you go. What do you play? Softball? Okay, softball. Softball varsity. And then it goes about, you don't want to get too detailed, but you want to get big picture. When have you been on the varsity team?
Last 2 years.
Okay, so you say sophomore-senior, something like that. Okay, something specific. I have seen students put 1, 2, 3, 4, meaning freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. I don't think that's easy to convey. Put put FR for freshman, SR to senior. Okay, and then you put any kind of awards you've gotten. Maybe down here, captain. Senior year, varsity sophomore, varsity softball team. You want to put the specifics. In general, for college, this is the biggie. Academics is what gets you in. This is what distinguishes you from all the other applicants. Another thing that people are interested in are your hobbies. Okay, I put that over here, family of hobbies. Okay, so you might want to have down here on the bottom, hobbies or extracurricular activities.
Also like community service.
Yes, perfect. Meaning, what do you do in your spare time? And I'm telling you, when I sit there and interview someone, I say, hey, Brandon, what do you do in your spare time? And the answer is, oh, I hang out with my bros, and we play video games, might want to party a little bit. Is that a person who needs a $400,000 scholarship against 17 other qualified applicants? No, because that means they're drinking, it means they're wasting their time. Or he's not even smart enough during the interview to not tell me that. So that's a person who loses. Okay, so big picture. And then also down here, like I said, you can add for any one of these things, experience. We have students here in Prescott, we have a VA hospital near here, and a lot of times they'll say 178 hours of volunteer time at the VA. Do you think that looks good on a military academy application? Yes. Do you think that looks good on an application if you want to go work at Sonic? Well, maybe. Maybe the guy who you're interviewing is military. That would look awesome for him, right? To be able to connect to them. But I'm just saying you need to strut your stuff and do it. Again, don't get specific and cut yourself off at one page, okay? Any other questions about the basic layout here? God bless you. All right, so now bring this over here. Let's look at some of the specific of some examples I have here. Okay, what I'm going to do is show you let's make sure did it come up there? Yes. I'm going to show you some examples of resumes, and this is going to be hard for me to see behind me. Let's see if I can get over here. And these examples are true resumes that I got in the last 10 years. And of course, I don't want to insult anybody. I'm hoping the people that I got them for are professional enough to know that I'm trying to help people out. If I went through an interview and they actually asked me, sir, how do you think my resume is, then I would be honest and tell them. Okay, so some of the same critique I'm going to give you here, I've given to the individuals. Okay, you are an admissions counselor. How about this? You're an executive for Google, and you're supposed to select 5 applicants out of 100 to come interview. So you have 100 resumes right here. How do you do it?
Delegate down.
No. This is what you do. Look through here. First impression. I don't care what's on here. You tell me which ones are good. First impression. Boom. 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 Boom.
It's like 5 pages.
Look at the different types of resumes that I've gotten through the years. Excuse me? Okay, do you see the different setups? I mean, as different as night and day. Okay? And so the bottom line, and I had a friend this summer, actually I was a Boy Scout National Jamboree, and he was an executive. And he said he would get 25 resumes and just flip through them, and what looked good would be his top 5 he'd actually read. So if it doesn't look good, you're not going to even be read, okay, in a lot of situations. All right, here's a resume. When I mean this was the first page, this is exactly what he gave me. He or she, I'm not sure, I can't even remember who it is. What do y'all think? What's your first impression?
There's no contact information at all.
Who is it? This is like middle school, high school test, and you forget to put your name on it, okay? You gotta be kidding me. Does this look anything like what I went through here? So yes, let's see, awards and honors. At least he knew, though, organizational-wise, to have the different subheadings, right? Yes, sir.
I like how he has dates next to his accomplishments.
Okay, and that is another technique. Instead of saying, you know, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, that's another technique. That's a good point. So anyway, I'm just saying this person had an idea, had a clue, but obviously didn't go to Col Peeples 101 resume building with your name and your information at the top, your email. He did go through and indent it, and it looks neat. But again, who is it? Okay? And you can see I actually took some notes here because I interview the students from these resumes, obviously, when I go through my interviews. All right, here's another one. How about what's your first impression on this?
It's really small.
Ding, 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 ding. Is this 12 or 14 font?
It's like 11 or 10.
Okay, which is great. And you know what? This person does a lot, and we'll get to interview skills because it's pretty much a game. But they should have left out half of this stuff and then talked about it in an interview if they really wanted me to know. But right up here in the top, you know, at least they have the resume and the setup as far as organizational. It talks about educational goal. I want to be a major in Bachelor of Science, minor in Mechanical Engineering. That's great. I did not put that up there. If you're trying to get a job, then your goal for me when I interviewed for this job is to become the senior aerospace science instructor of this junior ROTC. And I put that as a one-line statement up at the top. So she really did put that up there perfectly as a one-line statement. And that can be the top. And you'll see that. That's a technique that some people do and some people don't. It really just depends. It's your choice. But then she went straight down to your ACT scores, SAT scores. I wouldn't put them both. I'd put your best one, right? You don't need to put them both. You just need to put the best. But again, did you see how cluttered and all this is? This is not as organized. She had a great idea, but it's just, I couldn't even read it, to be honest. I had to put my glasses on. Resumes, here's your references at the bottom. Can you see this? No idea. Okay, you see how she did the references at the bottom? That's pretty neat and concise. That's good. It was not required in the Air Force Academy because they already give you the references in another part of your application process. Okay? All right, next. You guys are experts. Look at this one. How's this one? First impression. Neat. Yep. Forthright. Exactly. Go straight through it. Broke it up into academic, leadership, and athletic. That person obviously heard my speech. And again, they went with a little artistic thing here. That's all fine. So this is in the ballpark. This person was applying to Embry-Riddle in the last few years. And my only comment, again, they were in our junior ROTC, is that all they did was talk about junior ROTC. They didn't talk about anything they did outside of it, like church or volunteering. Okay, here is another one. Let's see, I think this is page 2. This is page 1, right here. Here's page 1. This was a very qualified individual. Look at the career objective.
Oh my gosh.
It's a paragraph. Okay? This person was incredibly qualified, don't get me wrong, but they didn't understand the concept of a resume or summary. Okay? The career objective, my ultimate goal is to be an astronaut. That's pretty good. That's a thumbs up, right? That's good. But then look at all the details. Do you think I really care about the fact that we went into drama and singing and acting minor roles and two musicals, guys, 9th grade? How does that qualify them to be an astronaut? Okay? It's like they had an application for 5 different things. They put everything on here. Has anybody here ever heard of the term curriculum vitae? Okay, I didn't expect you to. But if you're a PhD, or you're an academic, or you're applying for a position of teaching position, a professor's position, you will produce a curriculum vitae. And that means that has absolutely everything you've ever done in your academic life. Every paper you've written, every presentation, every YouTube video you created, everything. So this person gave me that as a college person. They gave me everything. Again, I really did ask them. That was part of my interview, which I'll get to there. What does singing and acting in 9th grade, how does that qualify you for the astronaut corps? How do you think they answered that? Don't know. I mean, they can talk on their feet. Okay, so anyway, went through a lot of detail here. Really neat. But again, it was way too much detail. That was page 1, guys. Here's page 2. Okay? Do you think I really care that they were 3rd place in the Missile Defense Agency back in 11th grade, 12th grade? All right, then you go to page 3. This is page 3. Hobbies and interests. That is all fantastic. But I don't really care that you care about woodworking or amateur filmmaking. Okay, and then post-high school career and leaderships. And then here's page 4. Okay, so that is a resume. Okay. Oh, by the way, this person's at the Air Force Academy right now because they're an outstanding individual. It's just that it was a very fun interview because I couldn't understand where to start. All right, here is this is a second. Let's see. Here we go. This is an individual up on. What's your first impression of this?
Pretty good.
Looking pretty good. I mean, it's kind of the same concept there. Profile. Okay, they're applying to a college. Look at the examples I gave you up there. What do you see that's missing? So what does that tell you? My first question is, what's your GPA? I haven't looked at it a little while. What did you take on the ACT? Have you taken the ACT? Well, I have been varsity soccer. I did do a sprinter jump, but I mean, have you taken the ACT? We're talking basic stuff here, guys. All right, so even though it looks good, first impression, you may start to read it and realize that they don't even have the basic stuff to apply to college in here. So they got some input. And honestly, this individual probably got input from family members and friends who never went to college, right? Who think it's, so it's part of a, if you want to go to college or you want to work at a job, you probably want to talk to somebody who's working at that job and see what's going on. Extensive community service, extensive leadership stuff. But where's the academics? Okay, here's another one. Okay, this is a resume they give to me. Okay, what's your impression of this?
Does it only have one category? Or is there another one in there?
That's it. This is page 1. This is it.
Very well organized.
Okay, exactly. It's a laundry list. Some people think resume is just list everything you've ever done. Okay, they really thought about it. They put the National Honor Society up at the top and leadership. Where's the GPA? Where's the ACT? You did some leadership, so they could have done it. I mean, they got all the information here, but it's not broken out. They have some athletic stuff. They had some volunteer stuff in here. But I'm just saying, it doesn't help me interview you and find out what's going on, right? If it's not organized properly. Okay, what do you think about this?
So I say family ranch.
Yes. These are people who live up on the Navajo reservation. That's all they live on. So they went through the accomplishments. Again, they talk about, good grades, but they don't have any specifics. So I have to ask for that. They talk about extensive work experience, a lot of really, leadership stuff really, to be able to manage a family ranch and stuff like that. And also extensive extracurricular. But again, if you're applying to college, the first thing they care about is whether or not you even qualify to apply. Okay? So in general, I think this is a pretty good one. It's pretty neat, right? I mean, you'd read it. It looks Compare that one right there to the previous one, and you can see how organization is key, right? Key. All righty, how about this one?
Name's not centered.
Name's not centered, but see how also they put their address and their cell phone stuff over here on the right. Yeah, that's all fine. I mean, I don't care about the details. I care about the big picture. Work experience, education, cumulative GPA, class rank. So I thought this was pretty good. Again, this individual came from a very humble situation. This person's at the Air Force Academy right now. But a very humble situation. I don't think this person has electricity in their home environment. All right, and then what about this?
Categorized below.
I thought this was pretty good, right? I mean, objective, it's well read, one piece of paper, and they even, you know, boxed in the recommendations down here on the bottom. What was interesting about this individual, when they interviewed with me, they went through and talked about these people on the bottom. And I said, where did you work? And he goes, oh, well, I worked here with Mr. Holland, and, you know, he was a big influential part of my life. Why do you want to go to the Air Force Academy? Oh, well, you know, Mr. Smith, he's at my church, and he inspired me to go. So it was pretty neat during the interview how he tied in all these people below him. So it was good. So anyway, I thought this was very good. Excellent resume. They did not get into the Air Force Academy. It was very competitive that year. Okay, so to summarize, for the resume, keep it short and simple, one page. Your name at the top. You can have a goal statement or purpose statement at the top, but then get into subcategories that are relevant to what you're writing your resume for. If you're interviewing for the job, what is the most important thing the person probably cares about? Experience. If you have no experience, if you want to work at Sonic and you've never even seen a hamburger, what else can you put down there?
Fast learner, ready to.
Exactly. I would put something like volunteer experience, working for my family's company, working around the neighborhood, community service at Junior ROTC, something that the individual who's hiring would care about, knowing that your character and your integrity would be worth hiring. Yes, sir. Okay? So you want to change these different headings depending on what your application source is. And then, just like the examples I just showed you, one of those key things is the organizing, drafting, and editing, and making sure that you get feedback from someone who's actually been in the position that you're trying to obtain. All right, any other questions around the room? Okay, thank you very much. Next time we'll talk about interview skills.
So